coming up tonight. Find out how the U.S. Army plans to use MMORPGs to train their troops. Plus, back up and access your data remotely with this personal server. And Kevin's found some killer deals on the net. They're dark and they're handsome. Live in the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers!
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us in the Screensavers. This is the place for your daily dose of all things happening in the world of technology. Happy Monday.
Happy
It's a great Monday.
Salutations.
Yes.
You're so perky.
I am a little perky.
You had a good weekend.
I did have a great weekend. Nice and relaxing.
No rock climbing.
No rock climbing this weekend.
No dumpster diving.
No dumpster diving. No war spying. No war driving. But it was still a good weekend. Believe it or not.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show. We're going to show you a personal server that makes backing up brainless, and the folks from there are going to introduce us to the U.S. Army's virtual world. That's pretty wild stuff we're going to see.
And speaking of someone that had a great Friday night, Dan.
What?
Well, tell us what happened Friday night.
What happened? I don't know.
Oh,
You're
you
wearing
know what
a
happened.
collared shirt, a sweater, and it almost looks
The
like
phone number is 888-989-7879. Email us at thescreensavers@techtv.com. Back to you guys.
All right. Friday night was a little bit of a party. Dan went out dancing, started dancing with a few ladies.
What can I say?
5, and then
What can I say?
it got pretty
4
crazy.
or 5.
That work here.
Go
Yeah.
Boo.
What can I say?
And the H&R will be stopping by later on, but right now let's start with the tech news that caught our eye today.
Did anyone take pictures?
I tried, but
I
my
forgot
camera
my
phone was all
camera.
messed up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed out.
It was good. Cool in full effect. All right, on to the news. And yet another turn in the battle between content liberation and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Playfair is back. In case you missed it last week, Playfair's open source software that strips the encryption from songs purchased through Apple's iTunes store. That means you could now play the tunes on any hardware that supports AAC playback, or on a Linux machine, or you could post the songs up on a peer-to-peer site. SourceForge, one of our favorite sites for open source apps, pulled the Playfair project from their website late last week at Apple Computer's request. Big surprise. Apple cited the anti-circumvention provision of the DMCA. It's section 1201A2, if you want to read up on it. But guess what? Today, Playfair is back. It's now hosted on an Indian site called sarovar.org. That's explains the Taj Mahal behind me. You were wondering where that was coming from. What do you think, guys?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one because I'm all about, I love the fact that it's open source, and but I love Apple too at the same time. I don't want to see this turn into something that we're going to pay for.
It's really funny. Basically people are like, SourceForge, evil. Essentially, it's a tool to crack digital rights management, to strip encryption, to allow you to openly use. Now, and this is where it gets interesting. It's like, it's fair use, so I can use my legally purchased MP3s in any format I want, or AACs, actually, they're not MP3s, versus, what percentage of people are automatically going to start sharing these in peer-to-peer sites, right?
I mean, I see what they're trying to say, because they originally released this as an actual Linux tool that you could run in your Linux box. So if you purchase something off of iTunes, you can actually listen to it, which makes sense.
And you can listen to it on up to 3 machines, but they're only Windows or OS X machines. It's not going to work on Linux. It's not going to work on other hardware devices. And what's kind of funny is, you're saying it before, the person who gets hurt the worst on this is Apple and their relationship with the recording industry.
And we also get hurt because that means that Microsoft's Windows Media 9, which is yet to be cracked, might actually take over.
Or if it's cracked, they're not building a SourceForge page out of it. What do you think about them taking it, offshore to India?
I mean, that's the only way they can get it up without having to worry about, getting it taken down by the U.S. government or getting sued. These guys aren't going to worry about anything. There's no way they can go after them. So
unless somebody comes up with a legal agreement or a diplomatic agreement, which I don't see coming anytime soon.
I don't either.
Anyhow, a new and exciting source for open source software for everyone to check out, sarovar.org.
Yeah, I went here and I downloaded it, and I was about to try it out, but I've yet to play with it. But I've heard a lot of good things about it as far as it being able to work, and then you can just take your music to your Linux box. So
I own 2 MP3 players, none of which will play the AAC right now, so it's kind of an interesting idea. Tempting.
Very tempting.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Have a lovely show.
Gloria joins us on the phone from Falston, Maryland.
Hey, Gloria.
You?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
How can we help you today, Gloria?
Yes, I'm in the market for a new computer. I was wondering if you could tell me the advantages and disadvantages of a desktop versus a laptop other than their battery life.
Oh, well, there is no battery life to a desktop. You've got it plugged into the wall, right? So it'll run forever. What do you, I mean, are you thinking about, do you want to be able to go to a cafe with it? Do you want to be able to use the computer on the couch? Do you want to be able to play video games? What do you like to do on the computer?
Well, I'm not, I just do basic stuff, you know. I mean, I have one now that's about 5 years old, like a desktop, and I was worried about the performance of a notebook. I'm looking into like a HP notebook, and
here's the beautiful
I'm
thing.
interested in it because of the space.
Right. The best thing about, you've got a 5-year-old system. If you buy any notebook that has any kind of decent performance, Gloria, it's going to stomp your 5-year-old system into the ground. It's going to be a revolutionary experience. And you mean, it's like, you're not going to be going like, wow, you know, I feel a 30% performance lag when I'm loading video files compared to what it would have had if I'd spent, you know, for a desktop.
Right.
The nice thing about laptops are portable. You can move them around. That makes them easier to steal if you know, you leave them in a cafe or something, or you can, you don't usually drop your desktop machine. A couple people around here have done that with Notebox.
I was going to say that, Gloria, I use the Dell Inspiron 600M. I've been using this one for a while now. I use it to replace everything that I did on my traditional desktop except for my games. Gaming is the only thing I need my desktop for. If this could do gaming, I wouldn't even need a desktop. But it's the graphics processor that you really need. It does my word processing, my QuickBooks, you know, everything that I want to do, I can do on my laptop. And this isn't even the highest end one. This is just like a middle ground laptop. So.
The short answer is, Gloria, there's nothing to fear with going to a notebook unless maybe you're a crazy video editor or if you're dealing with video games.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with video games, or I don't really play games.
Okay.
You know?
Now, just to let you know, one thing about a notebook is you're probably going to pay a little bit more for the same price desktop than you would a notebook. Like this one, I believe they started like $8.99.
Yeah.
You can find, you know, nice desktops
That starts more at like $1,200.
is $1,200 I believe is the mid-range. But yeah, you can get a desktop for $400.
Yeah. You're going to pay half as much for a desktop as you will for a notebook with the same amount of power. The nice thing is, for the stuff you want to do, Gloria, even the lower power notebooks will do more than enough for you. Avoid the Celeron notebooks. That's the one thing I would say. Is the Celeron notebooks, they just have abysmal performance compared to either the Pentium M or the Pentium 4 mobile notebooks. Happy hunting.
Thanks, Gloria. Thanks for the call.
We're just getting started. I'm going to show you how to put a full-function server or a not-so-full-function personal server in your home. And after the break, Sarah talks with the U.S. Army about their plans to use a massively multiplayer online role-playing game to train troops. That's coming up when the Screensavers continues.
The project manager for the United States Army Research and Development and Engineering Command's massively multiplayer simulation for asymmetric warfare. In other words, training soldiers with MMORPGs. Joining us via satellite from Orlando, Florida, Jim Gross. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Dan?
Good. We got a little delay here, but I'll work with you. Now, the military's been using video game type simulations for quite a while. What is the massively, let me make sure I get this right, multiplayer simulation for asymmetric warfare project exactly?
What we're trying to do is leverage that commercial technology, the craze with these online games that people are playing out there. And why can't the Army leverage that kind of technology today and see if we can train our soldiers in that kind of environment? Picture the capability of being able to train our soldiers today using the soldiers who are actually deployed over in Iraq and Afghanistan to be role-playing or actually be helping the soldiers who are getting ready to deploy there to train them on the kinds of missions that they're facing today. So it's a real exciting opportunity for the Army to experiment with this technology.
Absolutely. What is asymmetric warfare exactly? That was my first thought when I saw this project.
Asymmetric warfare is, the traditional kind of warfare is, here's our front line, here's the enemy's front line, and we have a big battle in World War II, Korea, those kinds of things. Asymmetric warfare is the warfare we're facing today over in Iraq, where it's suicide bombers, sneak attacks, snipers taking pop shots at people. You know, the kind of tactics that we're typically not faced with in the traditional warfare.
Right. Why did you decide to go with there.com as your platform, at least in the development stage?
They had a very promising technology that they were entering beta testing when we found them. Their technology was one of the few on the market at the time that could actually put more than a few thousand people into a single world at the same time. So we wanted to see how the Army, if the Army wanted to put thousands upon thousands of soldiers and trainees and role players into an environment, we wanted a technology that would allow us to do that. And most of the other online games only put 2,000 to 3,000 people in an environment, and then they have to spawn another world, whereas with their technology, where potentially unlimited number of people can be in the same environment at the same time.
And it's really amazing how everyone can interact with each other, and trainers can train people in real time in scenarios. What exactly, as far as the Army goes, clearly there's a lot of things going on in Iraq at this time. We're going to see a demonstration after the break of simulation. Why is this the right time for this type of training?
Well, the technology is finally getting to the point where we can actually do the kinds of things that we want to do, and the capability, again, to train soldiers, using the soldiers that are actually deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, to potentially leverage that kind of knowledge base so that our soldiers getting ready to deploy there, this is a golden opportunity to really to see if that kind of training works, to see if this technology will support that kind of training, and see if the soldiers will actually find it a viable way to train. So it's a great opportunity for us at a really good time in where the Army is today.
What other kind of role-playing simulation games has the Army been trained on previously, if any?
The Army hasn't used a lot of games in the past. They're starting to actually build some games. The Institute for Creative Technology is building Full Spectrum Warrior, which is the military version of a game that's going to be released commercially in the next few months. So the Army's actually starting to get into using the game technology, using that great capability that's out there that the commercial world's putting millions or billions of dollars into every year. Why can't the Army leverage that capability out there and get some good training out of it?
Exactly. When do you hope to begin using this software? Should the development go as planned?
We're actually looking to find a unit right now. We're hoping to go out to the 101st sometime in the next few months and actually use those soldiers for our first training scenario.
That's amazing. Jim Gross, thank you so much for joining us. So interesting.
Thanks, Sarah.
We've just heard why the Army is ready to train its troops with video games. After the break, There.com is here to run a training scenario similar to one U.S. troops may be using in the near future, and you'll see it first when the screensavers continue. Before the break, we talked to Jim Gross from the United States Army about their collaboration with There to develop a real-time training simulation. Joining us now from There.com, this is so exciting to take us through a potential training scenario, is producer of this military project, Laura Kusamoto. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, you were showing me a little bit about this before the show, and it looks really interesting. How far along are you in this development phase?
This is a 4-year program, and we are a year and a half into it. So this is really an alpha prototype software that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see it. Let's take it. Let's show me a typical demo that you're planning to introduce to the Army, and hopefully they'll implement themselves.
Okay, this demo will take us through a few different aspects of a scenario. The people acting this out are people from our development team.
Mm-hmm.
We're in positions. Let's go. Let's start operating the checkpoint at this point.
And I think it's important to point out that these are actually people sitting at their respective computers.
That's
these
right.
aren't fake people that you're talking to.
They're logged in remotely.
They're actually part of your team.
From Menlo Park and from New York.
Great.
So the idea of this kind of technology is you can log in and train anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been bulletproofed by the There.com commercial product.
Okay. So this is an example of some sort of checkpoint.
Yes. We don't hear car audio.
We're not hearing any audio.
We're not hearing the audio.
Perhaps I should turn the speaker up. What do you think?
Yes.
There we go.
Sir, would you please shut off your motor and step out of your vehicle?
So what this is showing is the ability to have human interaction in this simulation.
And where are you going
Fake
today?
world, real interaction.
Right.
I'm going to the store to buy fertilizer. Why do you need this fertilizer? It is for my land.
I'm going into a first-person view
And where are you buying this
Okay.
to
fertilizer?
be like a camera.
I do not see why you must know this.
So this is important for soldiers to know what would be
You have no
very
right to ask me these questions
normal,
and do my
basic
country.
responses. Even if someone's innocent, they might get irritated.
That's right.
You got to know what to say next.
So what you could do with this simulation is, first of all, set up the
Fine,
checkpoint
I will tell
properly
you, but this is
or
not
improperly and be
I'm
criticized
buying
for that
from my
by your
market.
trainer. Then you can also go through and try many different situations, many different people coming through here, many different types of language issues and all that sort of thing that can happen.
Where is this exactly supposed to be, this world here?
This world is a simulation of a part of Baghdad. It's 1 square kilometer of Baghdad.
Okay.
Here comes another car.
I think you're right. This guy's not stopping the fire.
Whoa. Okay.
So you see, in addition to interaction, we do have vehicles and guns that work.
Okay, this guy's dead. He's down. Get away from the vehicle.
So now they're going to check him out.
So the whole point of this is like throw as many strange, uncomfortable, scary, dangerous scenarios and see how they respond. Now, would trainers be in the position of the quote-unquote bad guys, perhaps, to sort of throw curveballs at...
So the troops are always going to be training the proper course of action. The trainers will be watching, like we're doing today, and they will also act out what the bad guys do.
Right.
We're going to move to another site. There's been a bombing in another part of this world.
Okay.
And what this really shows is that you can have multiple scenarios operating in the virtual world at the same time. They might be connected or disconnected, and people can radio to each other from these different places. So it could be one part of Iraq and another part of Iraq.
Which, of course, is the way real life is going to be.
That's the way real
You're not
life
putting
is.
out one fire at a time all the time.
It allows for a lot of complexity in the modeling of the scenarios. So here is a bomb scene has occurred. Some of the checkpoint soldiers have come over to help. They have come to the rescue.
Now, how do you address the realism issue?
That's a very interesting question of what level of fidelity do you need to do training.
Exactly.
So one of our constraints is we need this to run on laptops. It runs on laptops, it runs on desktops, and therefore it won't be photorealistic. However, and this is what we're really going to measure when we test it, it seems realistic enough that you can go through the paces and learn the cognitive steps you need to go through to deal with the situation. And the human interaction, the discussions are absolutely real.
And what's happening at this point?
At this point, they've found a suspicious character. They're taking him off to a helicopter to be questioned in another location.
How have you modified their.com as we know it, a fun, interactive, people talking to each other world, to this modified version? What exactly has changed?
This is exactly the same technology platform, distributed simulation, physics, etc., but we have tuned it to be more realistic and we've added some more features. So for example, our guns are actually lethal. A gun in there is never lethal. It's always for fun. So here you can actually harm people. Oops, I need to get on the helicopter now, or else they'll take off without me. So let's get on there. Okay, we'll take a little ride over Baghdad now. So for example, this is a hoverboat in there. If you've ever ridden a hoverboat, they're lots of fun. They've been changed into helicopters, which have a more serious purpose. We have the medevac ahead of this one. And we're flying over our city 1 square kilometer. So that's the little part of the world that we have built so far.
Amazing.
So we've also changed the proportions so they're more realistic. The audio, so it's a little more realistic. Even the way that people walk in this world is more proportioned than it would be in the more fun their world.
Clearly, there just have to be some modifications made if you're going to be working with the United States Army.
That's right. Working with reality and with a training tool is different than a game. But I think what this shows is that the underlying foundation can be the same technology.
Exactly. Laura Kusumoto, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you so much for this demonstration. It's quite amazing to think that something that it was first thought of as just fun, exciting, waste some time talking to your friends online can actually be training for safety.
Could actually be useful,
for our
yes.
nation.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Don't
go anywhere. Still ahead on the show. Get the scoop on new happenings in the world of mods from our resident modder, Yoshi, of course. Who else? And after the break, do you like being served? Find out if this personal server will enhance your computing experience when the screensavers continue. Ooh, that looks good.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Patrick Norton. Coming up in this half hour, Yoshi gives us a report from the wide world of modding, the agony and the defeat, and the joy. Kevin has more dark deals he found on the web for you. And speaking of dark, we're going to crack the case with Anthony on the line. He's suspicious about keylogging software on his PC and whether or not he can detect this nefarious spyware.
Yes, we will let him know.
Now, number one piece of advice we give out constantly, goes utterly and totally ignored, is back up your files. The folks at Mira took this to heart when they created the Mira Personal Server. Something that's more of a backup tool than a real server, though. The box under Kevin's right hand sells for not an inexpensive critter. It's $399 for 80 gigabytes of backup space, $499 for 120 gigabytes of backup space. And if you've got a lot of money, somewhere around April 26th, for $899, you'll be able to get 250 gigabytes of backup space, which is considerably more expensive than, say, one of our favorite backup tools here, the Maxtor One Touch.
Love that one.
Love that one. Basically, Dance Retrospect, you load that software on your system, and the idea is simple. In this particular device, the Maxtor One Touch, you press the button on the front, and it'll automatically back up the files you want monitored on your system.
But this will do multiple computers all over the network, right?
Exactly, and that's the big point of it. So if you flip it around, we show there's basically all you got to do to set this thing up is you plug in the power and you plug in the Ethernet, not necessarily in that order. Once it's onto your network, you run a little application on each of your desktop systems.
These are all capped off, aren't they? They didn't want you plugging anything in and into the video ports or anything like that.
Well, a lot of systems are actually shipped that way, but in this case, they basically don't want it locked in here. Now, if we go to my desktop, you're not going to be able to see the Mira locally because that's actually a dummy unit we're showing on the set. The one we're going to connect to in a couple of seconds is the Mira unit I have at my home right now.
Oh, cool.
And that's what's really interesting is Mira has two vastly different types of behavior, whether you're inside your home network attached to it or your small business network, or if you're accessing it outside. Now, what's kind of funky about that is to get onto, let's say, and this is what's the interesting part is basically I don't log into that.
Okay.
I don't log into that box. Even if I'm in the same room with it, I log in through the Mira client or I log in using Mira's remote access through the Mira.com website.
So you'd log in through Mira.com, which then connects you to your Mira server.
Exactly. So if I click in and we're going to go through the sign-in webpage, or if I can send someone an email if I want to share files with them. It's funny. I can't stream files off this locally. I can't keep my MP3s on it and play it here. What I can do is I can back my MP3s up onto that system. I can back my important files. I can back my Quicken, whatever it is. But I don't directly access it off that server. I only back it up incrementally. It'll do up to 8 incremental backups. But I don't really touch that. If I want to touch the stuff that's on that server, I have to physically download it to my system. Now, one way to do that is remotely. I'm going to click through on the sign-in page. Basically, it's your pretty basic login. You type in your email address and you type in your password, and I get a page like this. In this case, it's stuff we're not getting. Is scan not working? There we go. So if you took a look at this, it's an interesting idea. So this is connected to my DSL line at home, and I'm going to say, okay, we've got some pictures, we've got some songs, and let's go to the pictures.
There's no way for me to drag and drop files? You can't open up like you would, say, a Windows share or something like that?
No, and what's really funny is right during the middle of our live demo, 30 minutes early, the regular maintenance window just popped open. How sad.
So wait, no. This is a good question, though. So if they go into maintenance mode, even though this is sitting at your house, it could be sitting right next to you. You can't get the files off of it until
I don't think so. That's a really interesting question. One of the strange things about this is it's a Linux box, right? It's running, I believe, a variation on Debian inside of there. So it's fairly robust. We like Linux. It's bulletproof. It's cheap hardware, simple hard drive, and a decent piece of software. You access it, you have to have Microsoft.NET, which means you have to have Windows XP or Windows 2000. Yes, you can load Microsoft.NET onto a 98 system. No, the Mira client will not run on that.
Okay, so wait, now locally you would be able to pull the files off, but remotely you can't if their service is down.
It's my understanding that you would actually have to log in either case onto the Mira server. I've never, it's funny, apparently I'm usually here between 5 and 7 and not trying to access that. So anyhow, this is what the window, once you open up a window, this is what the personal server remote access page would look like, and I can go, okay, I want to go into my music, because let's say some of my MP3s, and there we go. Now,
we'll attempt to connect. They probably heard what we were saying.
This is normal, actually. It takes a few seconds for you to connect remotely, because you got to remember, it's got to go to Mira.com. It's got to find out whatever the IP of my system is. It's got to access that system.
Now, I kind of like that, though. I kind of like the fact that if you have a dynamic IP address and you're moving around, or your IP is constantly changing, it's cool that you would just be able to go to one site, log in, and it'll know where you are. You know your IP address.
And that's the thing they're fighting against here, because they're trying to keep everything on the system secure. They're trying to make sure that Bobby here can't be an angry 14-year-old and erase everybody else's files, because he doesn't really have access to those files on the server, only the person who's assigned access to it. So here we go. Now we're actually remotely logged in. This is like a server that's 8 miles away from here. And we can go in and we can kick and we can download and download. Well, here.
Now let's say, I noticed you just clicked on a folder there. Let's say you want to download the entire folder. Will it compress it and give you one zip file to download, or do you have to individually check one file at a time and download them?
It's all about individually downloading files one at a time. At least in my experience. It's an interesting concept. There's a bunch of interesting stuff. Mira, I think, is one of those products that's like really cool, but not quite there. They're already on the version 1.1 of the software. One of the biggest things they did between version 1.0 and 1.1 of the software is to set it up so that you can put hundreds of pictures in there, and then you can actually browse thumbnails on it rather than just looking at actual individual text.
That's kind of cool.
For it. Yeah, but again, there's two things I worry about. It's a great idea. It's especially good for incremental backups. If you don't want to deal with backing up and you're normally connected to a network and you don't want to basically be fooling around with plugging a portable hard drive in and out of your system, this is a great way to do it. However, you can't, once you leave the house, you can't back up files onto this,
Right.
You know what I mean? So that kind of bothers me. Of course, I travel constantly. If you are working inside of your home or inside of your small office, you're not going to carry a desktop to Timbuktu and want to back up files, right?
So it sounds to me like you're saying let's hold off until another version comes out, or it's still lacking a few key features that you're looking for.
Well, if your primary concern is just being able to back up files and being able to share files, and if the sharing files is pretty cool, because I can give somebody access to an entire directory or just give myself access to an entire directory of music or pictures or documents, that's great. One of the things I really want to see to come out of this in the future is to be able to upload documents to it, for my friend to be able to upload documents, and it'd be really nice if I could actually stream media off of this rather than having to download it to my desktop and then be able to play it, or load it or work on it or something like that. Mira as well, we got a full review up on the website. You can find it at thescreensavers.com. And again, this is one we're going to be revisiting because I think if they stay in business, we hope there's going to be some very cool updates to the software.
Cool. Excellent. Thanks, Pat. Stay where you are. I found some computer deals that you can't miss out on. But up next, Yoshi shows off some of his cool mods from the world of modding when the Screensavers continues. You also get to register for this week's Screensavers LAN party.
Powered by NVIDIA!
We're moving from one theater of war to the next. This week we're playing America's Army Special Forces Sandstorm. It was developed in conjunction with the United States Army. This game is probably the closest you can get to the real battle without leaving your house.
I got some friends overseas who would argue with that. But to top it off, though, not only are we fragging in the LAN party, we're also customizing and giving away our LAN party machines, which means you should get ready. We're going to announce the first two winners. Drum roll, please.
Right now.
The winner of LAN party machine number 1, Greg Survey, and winner of LAN party machine number 2, Jeff Cold. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Woo!
Congratulations to the winners. If you are not Jeff Cold or Greg Surberry, you have 2 more weeks to win. First, simply register for the LAN party and you're automatically entered. And second, be sure to watch for the secret code word during the LAN party on Thursday. Now, if you enter that into the website, that's going to increase your odds even further. We'll be giving away 1 machine per week for the next 2 weeks, and you can enter each week. So go to our website and click on Join Our LAN Party and register for download the full version of America's Army. And the cool thing about that, America's Army,
it's free.
It's completely free.
Absolutely, utterly, and totally free.
Yep. We'll see you this Thursday, for the Screensavers LAN Party.
That'll be a fun one.
It will be fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's check in with the fine folks over at Tech Live to see what's coming up tonight.
Just one, folk.
Hey,
what's going on, you guys? How are you?
Good.
And congratulations to Greg and Jeff. Congrats, man.
That's awesome.
Woo-hoo.
That's great. So what we're talking about, it's kind of like walking on the moon. Well, sort of. Take a look at this thing. It's a balloon that'll let you flip, hang, and bounce in midair. It's part of a new sport called parabouncing, and we'll show you how Sportster Becky Worley did when she gave it a whirl. The Whirly Whirl! That's coming up right after the Screensavers. How fun is her job, man? I love it.
Yeah, they did.
Would you guys do it?
She puked later on.
Yeah, that's a hazard, but whatever, man. The rush. It's all about the rush, Pat. You know about the rush, right?
I'm all about the rush, but
That looks interesting, though. It's like a weird, I don't know if I'd go for that.
Pat has a sensitive tummy.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Bye-bye.
Tech Live coming up after the Screensavers. Right now, let's check in with our mad modder, Yoshi De Herrera, for a quick mod report. Yosh?
Yeah, people ask me, Yoshi, why mod? It's just a computer. It's not so strange that people want their computer to reflect their personality, just like their car, their clothes. Why settle for that boring beige box? Do you want to drive a boring beige boxy car too? Well, maybe you do, but the reason we mod might be because we thought it was cool, it looked good, it was funny, or maybe because someone said we couldn't do it. Really hate that. It doesn't really matter. We mod because it's who we are and it's what we love doing. So let's check out a few mods I've run across recently that caught my eye. Maybe they might help inspire your next mod. This board cube case is cool, and I can't tell you much about it since the specs, well, the page isn't in English. But being a bit of a Trekkie, I don't have to read the specs to appreciate the mod. You think you're hardcore? check out this project. It's a direct dye cooling system by Zenzo. It's, H2O to the next level. It's a perfect example of why we mod. It's not appearance that attracted me to this one, it's the creativity. And while it's not the most extreme cooling solution out there, it's definitely hardcore and pretty darn unique. A lot of you have asked me, Yosh, make a fridge PC. Well, it's been done, and it's been done really good. I found this one on gruntville.com, and not only has incorporated a working fridge with space for all the sodas and snacks, it's been done with quite a unique style of its own. Dremeling, the most fundamental skill a modder can have. But taking that skill to the next level is quite another story. Project The O, which I found on Feeton.com, exhibits some crazy dremeling work. It's a great example of creative work that doesn't cost a lot to make. You gotta check it out. For the links to these mods and some other great resources, head on over to screensavers.com. And remember, open up your mind. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Yoshi.
Nice.
Good stuff.
I like that fridge mod.
It's scary.
I still think you should do one, Yosh. That's pretty cool. Have a nice little personal fridge right there with all your drinks in there. I like that.
That one was done pretty good. I might have a little competition if I had to try to beat that one.
Competition is good. It'll inspire you to great heights, Yoshi.
Coming up after the break, Anthony's on the phone, paranoid about keylogging software. He's wondering if his email is still safe. We'll give him the facts, and you're not going to want to miss tonight's dark deals. That's all coming up right after these messages.
Be sure to catch tomorrow's show. Why? The GizWiz Dick DiMartello is back with some weird little travel gadgets, and I'm going to show you how to use a DSS dish as a Wi-Fi antenna. And Sarah, well, she's going to help you edit your resource files with an absolutely free tool. That's all on tomorrow's edition of the Screensavers.
Yes, indeed. Now it's time for some dark deals. The reason they are dark is because you have to follow my instructions exactly in order to get them. There may be special rebates.
Fascist deals or normally controlling deals or deals that make you jump through hoops.
That we can change the name if you like that. It's up to you. But right now they're dark deals, special rebates, coupon codes, promotional codes, all different kinds of things you might have to do to get these. Let's get started. First one, US Robotics 802.11g home wireless router.
I didn't know they were still in business.
Yeah, well, US Robotics was awesome back in the day. You remember them in the modem
They were
days.
the monster manufacturer of modems.
And their modems were very expenve and very high-end. Remember the
I still have a Courier?
Yeah, the
it
dual
looks like
standard.
the Death Star.
Yeah, those were cool. I love those. I had one of those too.
I have it dialed up for 2 years, and I still have that thing.
The old BBS days? Did you get them bulletin boards? I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Anyway, this one, 802.11g, it's called the Turbo Router. And the reason it's turbo is because it combines two 802.11g signals, and it lets you achieve up to 100 megabits per second in transfer.
Do you have to have two 802.11g cards?
No, you have to have the special turbo card, though, which is two of them combined into one card.
Maybe that's why it's so cheap.
Yeah, it's $39.99 after rebate. It does do standard 802.11g, and of course G is backwards compatible with B, which is going to give you that slow B, but it is the standard. It's a nice price, $39.99 for a wireless router, especially if you need fast transfers, is a pretty good deal. The next one we have is from Amazon.com. It's the Canon CanoScan Lid 30 scanner. Now, the reason I put this one on there, it's not the highest-end scanner that you can buy right now, but I actually own this scanner at home.
It's a nice scanner.
I really enjoy it, and one of the main things I like about it is it's only about an inch thick, so if you're looking for a small little scanner that you can slide in anywhere. And the second thing I really like is I have so many power adapters under my desk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just all this clutter. This one is powered by USB, so there's no need to even mess around with an extra power adapter.
All the power for it comes over the USB cable. It's connected
One
to
cable.
the computer.
One cable done deal. Works on OS 10 and also works on your Windows XP 2098, all that. The rebate does have a $30 mail-in rebate and an instant 14% savings. Comes out to $39. Great scanner. I really like it, so I thought I'd throw it in here. The next one, a featured desktop from Dell. This one is the Dell Dimension, it's the 8300, which is a 3.0 gigahertz P4. It comes with a half a gig of RAM. They do this a lot. They're throwing in all these closeout deals when they're trying to clear something out. This one, half gig of RAM. You get a 40 gigabyte, 7200 RPM hard drive. All the options for a 3 gigahertz processor, $699, which is a $150 mail-in rebate, and of course there is no monitor with that, but we're talking a 3 gigahertz full-blown P4, none of the cell run garbage stripped down. It's the real deal. You might want to check that out. Also another pretty good deal.
Ladies and gentlemen,
that is it. For the links to download all of my dark deals, visit my article at thescreensavers.com. It's up in the upper right-hand corner this time. Kind of hard to find, but they're all there.
It's floating.
It's floating around. You can get all the coupon codes and all the deals that you need to get these. So cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Anthony joins us on the phone from Cicero, Illinois. Hey, Anthony.
How you doing, Kevin? How you doing, Patrick?
Hey, Anthony.
Good. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
What seems to be the problem? Something about key logging? You're worried about someone getting on your machine?
Yeah, okay. I ran adware, I ran Spybot Search and Destroy, and I got Semitic, Norton Antivirus 2004. And none of them seems to find somebody that's logging onto the computer, either remotely or I don't know how it's done. Because I do have a wireless network. And what happens is I'll have somebody send me something, or I'll send myself something, and I'll go into it, and somebody's already been in it, or sometimes deleted some of the stuff.
How do you know somebody's already been in it, Anthony?
Because the moment I go into it, it's already been checked off or already looked in. And I don't use anything fancy. I just get the free email from Yahoo. And somebody obviously knows my password.
Well,
but it's nobody within my household, though.
Okay, so basically, you're positive somebody's logging into your Yahoo Mail account because you go in there and mail's been answered before you've had a chance to look at it.
Bingo.
Have you changed your password on your Yahoo account?
Yes.
And it keeps happening?
Yes.
Are you checking your Yahoo Mail through, like, say, something like an Outlook Express or something like that? Because you can check it. You don't just have to go to the web interface.
No. I don't have I don't use the POP3 server.
Okay, so you just go directly to the site and log in from there. That's weird.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. So at this point, I guess what your concern is that someone's able to find your password for your Yahoo account and log into your Yahoo account and do nefarious things with your email address.
Correct.
Do you have any ex-girlfriends that might know, what some of the passwords that you've used in the past? Or you'd be surprised. Sometimes people can remember, like, past passwords that you've used. Or have you tried creating something random, like random numbers and letters to try and keep them out? Or?
Yeah, and everything I tried is everything they're able to get. So that's why I'm thinking it's got to be a keylogger, because, or unless somebody's sniffing around on the network.
Have you? And I would say, what's your connection to the internet? Is it DSL or cable? Or
Cable.
Okay. Are you running a firewall?
Yes.
Okay. When you that's the first step, because on a cable modem you're essentially you're one more node on the segment, right? Anybody can basically see what's going on there. When you log into Yahoo, are you using the standard or the secure?
The standard.
Okay. Start using the secure, and what that does. And we're going to click on that. What that does, when you actually log in now, it's basically going to encrypt your password rather than sending it openly. That's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is, what kind of a firewall are you running on that, Anthony?
I'm just running the one that comes along with Windows XP.
Okay. What's between Windows XP and the cable modem?
I do have a wireless access point.
Okay. Does it have a built-in router?
Yes.
Is it like a Linksys box?
It's not a Linksys, but it's a lower grade brand, but it works.
But you've changed. You're not using the original admin password that came from the factory. You've changed that and you've updated it to the latest patches and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have teenage children, Anthony?
Yes, I do.
Do they need to be sat down and have the fear of all things mighty and parental put into them? Or as my dad would say, the "I brought you into this world, I can take you back out" lecture?
Well, actually, I don't have kids that are that tech savvy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I have to do for them.
Let me give you one other application that I use, Anthony. You might want to check out. Actually, Yoshi has it at home base pulled up for me. It's McAfee's anti-spyware. It's a new application that they just came out with that I've been playing around with for the last few weeks. And one of the things I like about this, how this differs from adware or the others, is that it runs resonant in memory. So it's constantly running. So if someone were to drop any type of keystroke logger or spyware application or adware application, it's going to detect it instantly as it happens. I really like it because just for that reason alone, the fact that it's always running. And they actually, if you take a list of the stuff they protect against, they have a huge number of keystroke loggers. They're big on that. This is definitely meant to catch keystroke loggers as far as, and also adware and spyware as well. So you might want to download that and give that a try just to get, it's worth the shot.
Okay.
It's a good idea, yeah. Do the McAfee search. Start logging into Yahoo Mail via the secure login, not the open login. And also, you know what? Check your keyboard. Make sure there's not some strange little dongle plugged in between your keyboard access and your computer, because that's one of the other ways keyboard loggers work, is a physical connection in between the two. A little high end for the environment, it sounds like, but another thing, I'd have a strong talk with the kids.
Yeah. But if you cover all those, like you said, especially the secure login, you should be safe from that point forward.
All right. Good luck, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. Let's check in with Dan now for a helpful tip.
Thank you, boys. Your virtual memory or your page file is an area on your hard disk that Windows uses as RAM. Basically, it helps speed up your PC. But you can also adjust the size of it, adjust the size of your page file to your liking. So this is what you do. You right-click on My Computer, go down to Properties, and then you choose the Advanced tab. Now, under the Performance section, click on Settings, and then click the Advanced tab again, which is right up here at the top, right there, and then go all the way down to Virtual Memory. You'll see, click on Change right there. Now, down near the middle, see Custom Size. Here, under Initial Maximum Size, you can adjust it to however you want. But that's it. But stay you are. Final email is coming up. Stay tuned.
It's that time, Sarah. Do you have any emails?
This is this is our newest audience member.
Sit. Lay down.
It's Toga. She is from Sacramento Riverguides.org. SacramentoRiverguides.org.
We're undoing months of serious training for this guide dog.
Oh, thank you.
Hey.
So, do you have any email questions, Sarah?
Quit kissing. All right. Andrew wants to know, can you connect a computer's DVI connection to a TV's DVI connection? Sony's owner's manual says it's not supported.
You know what? You just run into the problem is some, like whether it's an HDTV, whether it's a plasma or a CRT or a regular monitor, some of them support DVI from some things and not from others. The biggest problem we've run into is two things. One is some, like that I believe it was Pioneer we showed you last Monday, won't actually accept any computer output from DVI for reasons it's too complicated for me to explain right now, but basically the answer is no. And the other thing we've run into is sometimes they won't support the native resolution. So you end up with a 1024 by 768 screen, leaving either black, empty stripes in the top or bottom, or being stretched in weird ways. But yeah, you know what? Sometimes they just won't work. You need to search that information before you buy the monitor. It's a tough call.
Okay, moving on. Adam wants to know, which is better for gaming and all-around performance? Intel HD technology or Athlon 64-bit processor? And number two, NVIDIA GeForce or ATI Radeon? I see them both advertised.
Well, okay, basically, Athlon 64 give you more performance for less money. Both of them offer great high-end gaming processors, but the reason we keep buying Athlons and Athlon 64s is because you get a lot of performance without spending as much money as for a comparable Intel chip. NVIDIA versus ATI, currently ATI is the top of the heap.
But tomorrow...
Well, don't do that because that's violating an NDA. There's going to be a major card announcement in the near future, and we'll tell you all about it.
Oops.
Kevin,
Sorry.
why do you do that?
Yeah, and tomorrow we'll have a lecture on non-disclosure agreements.
Sorry about that.
The legal department on the screen.
Shouldn't have said anything.
You didn't say too much. So we have one more fast question, or are we done?
I'm in the, I think we're done.
We're done. That's it for this edition of The Screensaver. He's Kevin Rose. I'm Patrick Norton. That's a lovely dog. And we want to thank you for joining. Oh, man. Really thank Jim Gross, Laura Kusamoto. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.